I think in some ways, if you think about photography as an activity, you notice something, and then maybe that slows you down, and maybe you start to see something. And then maybe if you start to see, you begin to really kind of appreciate what's there. And then I think, you've got a couple of options. You can either, it's a spot for a little bit of gratitude or prayer, or perhaps making a photograph. And when photography is really good, those two things aren't very far apart.
When I gave a smile, I didn't expect you to give one too.
The best little recipe for making a great photograph, they speak of the hour between the dog and the wolf. You know what the hour between the dog and the wolf is, right? That's that time when natural light and artificial light sort of cross, right? It's twilight in more common parlance. They use that expression because it's the idea of the hour between civilization and wild, essentially, right? But optically, it's an exceptionally beautiful time to photograph. There's another sort of an old saying in photography. Somebody said, how do you make a great photograph? They were asking a photojournalist, and they said, 2 things, son, F8 and be there, right? That's it. That's the textbook, right? And it's true. On some levels, creative work, and I think, the kind of work that I do with this slow process of analog photography is very therapeutic for me, right? Because it gets me out of here. And that's a good place to get out of, right? There's something about, if you think about it, the act of photography is always about looking away from yourself, right? And it's an invitation to look away from yourself and to be grateful or appreciative of what you're seeing, right? If I'm feeling tired or cranky or whatever, and I pick up the camera and I wander around, all of a sudden I'm released of all of this, and I'm asked to engage in something that's healthy and affectionate, and that's perhaps its greatest legacy for me, I think. Yeah, this darkroom was actually set up a number of years before even my earliest connection with SAIT. It was designed by a couple of folks that were involved in the creation of the SAIT's photojournalism department, and also folks that ended up creating the photography program at the Alberta College of Art and Design. So this is the printing darkroom. This is kind of the heart of the facility here at SAIT. We've got about 20 high quality enlargers and 6 beautifully custom built stainless steel sinks. And this is really where the interesting, sexy, exciting part of the process takes place. This is where negatives are exposed through the enlarger onto an easel. And once that exposure has been made, the paper is transferred into the trays in the darkroom. And we actually watch from a blank piece of paper a print emerging. We carry it through additional steps which are designed to make the image light, tight, and permanent, and then we carry it down to a dryer at the end of the darkroom to finish the process, take it outside, then have a look at it under traditional white light, essentially.
Did you mean to make me?
I was flipping through the want ads, and there was an opportunity. There was a job posting for SAIT for a junior editor, script writer, for the princely sum of $750 a month, right? So I applied, I got the job, and I was ecstatic because the work environment, I was working with photographers, writers, editors, graphic designers, and it was just this incredible sort of a playpen. It was SAIT's service department, essentially. So I worked as a writer for a number of years, got interested in photography, left SAIT, ultimately came back about 5 years later as a photographer, as a staff photographer. And shortly after doing that, I had an opportunity to do a bit of teaching and to do something that I was absolutely crazy about teaching, which was to be involved with the Darkroom course. And the place that course was offered is right where we're sitting right now. This particular facility is now, we believe to be about 52 years old. It was set up as part of the journalism program here at SAIT. We have an incredible facility, to the best of my knowledge, one of the finest in Western Canada. And it's now been approaching 45 years that I've been coming in here, spending a lovely evening and just, enjoying the people. And really the quality of the students and the success of the students has been extraordinary. It's gotten better and better every year with publications. Some of our students have won major awards for their work. It's just like hanging out with best friends, people that I just cherish in a place that I love dearly. So, it doesn't get much better than that. Was in the SAIT library and I saw this book by Cartier-Bresson, took it down, I looked at it. 50 years ago, this September, it changed my life. I wanted to be a photographer that day, right? But so for me, the pathway was really just looking at good work, being inspired by it, and then sort of embracing a particular tradition, which is the documentary tradition in my case. So, Dave, many thanks, my friend. Blessings. And it is, there's almost nothing that can top me standing in there watching somebody lay a piece of paper into a tray of developer and then a print showing up on it, right? I enjoy, digital photography as well. It's promiscuous, it's quick, but I just can't imagine photographing the small towns of the Canadian West, heaven forbid, with a digital camera, right? It just would be gauche, right? It's interesting, my own background and my own style in photography is a very traditional, classic documentary approach, right? Simple approaches, lenses. The idea is you try to capture the story as simply and directly as you can. And somehow this playpen aesthetic has been unleashed in the darkroom. People experimenting with stuff, pouring developers on things, working with unusual techniques, working with cameras that are producing multiple exposures and the like. So a really interesting subgroup has taken a hold in the darkroom. People that use the darkroom as kind of a place for experimentation. And for me, of course, that's enormously fun. People have really embraced the idea of the darkroom as a place to experiment and try unusual and different things. And we have a facility here which really accommodates that. And some of the students have produced some extraordinary work which has been seen and exhibited and published all over the world. It's kind of amazing to me to see that. Yeah. Just so you've got room. So anyway, she was rifling through the detritus of the darkroom, the stuff that had been pitched, torn, tested, whatever. And look at the gold that she harvested out of the garbage cans, right? Just look at the stuff, the color, the tinting, the staining, the bending, all of this stuff, right? And one of the things that she's thinking of doing is putting together a collage drawn from the detritus of the darkroom. Brilliant. 52 years that darkroom has been being used. Nobody has ever gone down and salvaged all of the junk out of the garbage buckets to make into a piece of art. But this is like, I think, potentially one of the most exciting things to come out of there, right?
Take it back. It stays right in my mind.
I guess I'm pleasantly surprised and happy that people still come down into this basement in the Senator Burns building at SAIT. And they come in here with a great deal of joy. I think it's true, and people have said this, right? And I feel this way. People come in, they've had a busy day or a stressful day or whatever, and they come in here and it's like that all gets left on the outside of the door, and when they're in here, there's a joy. So I guess that capacity for people to be uplifted in a communal environment, engaged in a creative activity. You know, I shouldn't be surprised, but I am really, that there's that level of connection and joy with what we do here, and it's a real blessing for sure. There's a very rich history, and I think if there's anything which is going to, you know, hopefully assure the future, it's the past, right? So you always take a photograph in the moment, right, at a particular time, and that instant that you take the photograph, it's transformed into being part of the past. And if it's a really good photograph, it's going to have value to someone in the future, right? Yeah. You know, one of the really wonderful things that's gotten better with just about every passing year is we have people that come back and take the class on multiple occasions, right? Some of them are very skilled. They love being in the darkroom. They love working with other people. You know, it's a safe, inviting, warm-hearted place, right? It's you know, it's therapeutic on some level, right? And I think sometimes that idea of working collectively, and when you feel safe and when you feel inspired by the people that you're working with, is an incredibly gratifying thing. But it's the interaction. It's looking across the sink and seeing somebody else working, hearing about some of their successes. That's you know, the social aspect is a really big part of this, and I've grown to have some very close, affectionate friendships with people, just because of the dynamic that we share in this beautiful, safe, quiet, lovely little space here.